How's it going, guys? JP here, and welcome back to another MMA predictions video. We are talking UFC 170 Ronda Rousey versus Sarah, if she has a nickname, I don't know it, McMann. So, this card I was pretty excited for, and after the injury to Rashad Evans, I'm significantly less excited for. This one doesn't seem to have a whole lot of buzz going around. Anytime Ronda Rousey fights, I get excited, but just this time it seems like maybe it's the quick turnaround from UFC 168, I believe, that has this card, in a bit of a slump. Maybe it's all the events that are happening right now. Anyway, I'm just, not as excited as I normally would be, and definitely the co-main event falling apart definitely has a bit to do with that. But anyway, my record for this year is 3-2 as it stands right now. I've only predicted one event and it didn't go so well. So we're going to pick the whole main card, and we're going to pick one of the undercard fights. So first up, we have women's bantamweight possible #1 contender fight, Alexis Davis versus Jessica Eye. I say possible because it looked like maybe if Alexis Davis wins, that she might be next in line. Kat Zingano's still out there waiting in the wings somewhere with her, ACL tear. And Jessica Eye had a huge meltdown over testing positive for marijuana or a blood thinner or whatever she did. Her last win over Sarah Kaufman got overturned. And it's just, it was definitely a bad move, the way the whole thing went down for her career, because now she seems significantly more unlikable than she did before. She was actually kind of likable. Now it seems like people were kind of giving her a lot of crap for the way she handled the whole failed drug test thing. So anyway, let's jump into the fight. We have Alexis Davis, who I believe is on like a 4-fight win streak. She's looked pretty good in her last couple fights in the UFC. I think this will be her 3rd UFC fight. Then you have Jessica Eye, who I believe was a 125-pounder and moved up to the bantamweight division. She actually impressed me quite a bit in the Sarah Kaufman fight. I noticed that she, from what I remember, it's been a little while, she was using her jab a lot, and she was seemed a lot quicker than Sarah Kaufman, just beating her to the punch. And it was a split decision, but I was impressed by her performance, and I was like, I didn't know her beforehand, so it kind of opened my eyes to her, and I remembered her after that night. Alexis Davis was somebody who I also was not overly familiar with until she made her UFC debut. I believe it was against Roxy Sexton. She's looked good in her couple bouts. Liz Carmouche, that was a good fight for her. I wasn't expecting her to beat Carmouche, but she really just shut down Carmouche's game altogether, and actually kind of made Carmouche look less as a fighter compared to how good I thought she was. So I'm probably going to lean more towards Alexis Davis on this one, simply because maybe she'll be a bit more technical. She probably will be a little bit slower, but she's probably going to be more powerful, considering Jessica Eye is, coming up a weight class. And I'm mainly picking her because, you know what, I just changed my mind. I'm going to go with Jessica Eye on this one. At first I was going to pick Alexis Davis because of a few different things, and one of the main things was the things going on outside the cage, the mental aspect of the game, which has been not so good for Jessica Eye with all the drama going on. But I kind of almost see it now as maybe she's going to use that as fire. She seems like that type of person, to fuel the fire in her. And this is a really hard fight for me to pick. My heads tell me to go with Alexis Davis, but my guts tell me to go with Jessica Eye, so I'm going to go with my gut. Jessica Eye is going to win this one, decision. Next we have the main card, welterweights, Robert Whittaker and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Robert Whittaker, I actually like this guy. This is a guy who won the Ultimate Fighter Smashes, which I really enjoyed that season. He looked good in his win to, win the show, and then he fought the U.S. Ultimate Fighter winner, Colton Smith, and kind of shut down his wrestling game and just, tore him up a bit. And that, that was kind of impressed me a bit. So I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker on this one. I want to see this dude do good because I think that he can go somewhere. He seems quite talented. He lost a split decision to Court McGee recently, which was a good fight, but Court McGee's another guy I like too, so I really didn't want to see anybody lose that fight. But I think he's going to bounce back good against Stephen Thompson, who I believe only has one loss, and it's to, I actually forget who it's to. Matt Brown. Yeah, so speaking of Matt Brown, the next fight, welterweights Mike Pyle and TJ Waldberger. Mike Pyle just got knocked out by Matt Brown, and who would have thought that we would see Mike Pyle back before we see Matt Brown back? Every time I think of Matt Brown, I just get so disappointed that Carlos Condit Matt Brown fight never happened. It was such, it screamed fireworks, and it just sucks to not see that. I really like Matt Brown, and I want to see that fight happen, or at least I want to see Matt Brown back in action. He's getting thick up there in age. Anyway, Mike Pyle, veteran, versus TJ Waldberger. I want to say both of these guys are coming off a loss, but I'm not sure. Mike Pyle obviously got knocked out in a couple seconds in the Matt Brown fight. I think I'm going to go with Mike Pyle on this one. He is good. He has looked good before he got knocked out by Matt Brown. I think he's going to bounce back good. I'm going to go with Mike Pyle. After that, we have welterweights Rory McDonald versus Damian Maia. Now, this one is kind of an interesting matchup, but I think it's going to be another one of those boring Rory McDonald, Damian Maia fights. Obviously, Damian Maia, being the grappler, is going to try to grapple with Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald is probably going to try to be super duper technical and do the whole technical thing. I think this is a mental thing for Rory McDonald. I think he is very talented, obviously. I think a lot of people agree with me that he's very talented. But I think his thing that's holding him back is a mental thing. I think he has a lot of issues, and I think he's going to be up and down until he can solve those. But with that said, I'm actually going to pick him anyway. He's the younger, fresher fighter. I think he can shut down Damian Maia's game and probably get the knockout. I'm going to say knockout Rory McDonald. Or a boring decision. But I'm leaning more towards knockout. Then we have light heavyweights. Wow, that's weird saying light heavyweight and seeing Daniel Cormier's name next to it. We have light heavyweights Daniel Cormier versus Patrick Cummings. Who knows if Cormier will make the weight? I really think he will. He didn't look super big for a heavyweight. He definitely could drop down to light heavyweight. He's a very serious athlete. It seems like he's very serious about making the weight, and I think that's why he didn't want to have this fight canceled, because he did a lot to do this fight. He had to slowly bring his body down, peak at the right time and stuff. So when Rashad Evans got injured, I could see why he just wanted somebody to step in. Props to Chael Sonnen for wanting to step in. That's fucking crazy, because he just got destroyed by Rashad, and Daniel Cormier is probably would do a little more damage, possibly. That's not a good fight for Chael Sonnen. Anyway, Patrick Cummings, I don't know who this guy is, making his UFC debut. I guess there was a history between him and Cormier. A little bit of it seems fabricated, but who knows. Props to the UFC for making this fight more interesting than I ever thought it would be, because there's the whole history with Pat Cummings, training with Daniel Cormier and talking a little bit of shit. Cormier wants to shut him up. Cormier is probably going to shut him up. But how fucking crazy would it be if we saw an upset, Cormier getting knocked out or something? That would be nuts. Anyway, Dan Cormier, Olympic wrestling, fucking... he's very, very talented, possible contender at light heavyweight. I'm very interested to see how he looks at light heavyweight. I'm going to go with him, obviously, light heavyweight Daniel Cormier. Then we go to the main event, women's bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey versus Sarah McMann. I have been familiar with Sarah McMann for a while now. Both undefeated fighters. This should be a fun fight at least. I want to say that I see this one taking place in the stand-up department for a good portion of the first round until either one of them gets rocked and take. I could see Ronda doing the judo. Sarah McMann. I don't see Sarah McMann attempting a double right away and trying to get Ronda down, but eventually it's going to end up on the ground, and eventually Ronda Rousey is going to get this submission. I actually see a little bit of it playing in the stand-up first, though. Sarah McMann, I don't see how she doesn't get armbarred. I'm going with Ronda Rousey. What can I say? So that's it for these predictions, guys. As always, don't take my picks super serious. I'm no MMA expert or genius, or I'm not even that knowledgeable in the realm of MMA. I just am a regular guy who wants to give his predictions and talk about fights. So don't take them too serious. I know that sometimes people get extra crazy about MMA fights and predictions and stuff. So chill out on me a little bit, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.